Rabbi, so we're back. Nishmas Eliezer Akiva Ben Rav Simcha David is the outside today. I've been away. I've been for a few days in Venice, which of course, a couple of things. That was where the Yerushalmi was first printed in 1523. 30 years later, of course, the Yerushalmi was printed by non-Jewish printers, right? The Jewish people didn't get permission to print. It was the non-Jewish printers, Bomberg, Justinian, and after around 30 years, they started squabbling and undercutting each other and cheating, putting pirushim without saying whose names there were, all sorts of things. And it led to such a fight. First, the Ramah was brought into it to try and settle the fight, Rav Moshe Isilis. It didn't succeed, and in the end, the church got into it, the fight, and each one was saying the other one's books were all heretical, the other one's books were heretical, and it led to, in 1553, the burning of the books. They picked up whatever Bavlis, Yerushalmis they could find in any homes, whatever, and they burnt them all on the 13th of Cheshvan, roughly, in 1553. So, as much as going to Venice and seeing where they started printing, but unfortunately, it was also a place where they started burning everything 30 years later. But at least the amount of Sfarim that were printed in that time enables us to make sure that we do have some Sfarim today, and all that we learn should be a zechus for those sad times when the Yerushalmi was burnt. We're up to Perek Hasiri Halacha Gimel, which is roughly Sadi Gimel Amud Aleph. Okay, so where we go. So Tilton, which is a type of, they always call it fenugreek, don't they? It's where the wood is similar to the taste of the spice. Whether it's a spice, chilba they call it here, of course, which is also rubia. Rubia, as you know, is the same as lubia. And rubia and lubia are eaten by many on Rosh Hashanah. Okay? And we say, Yirbu Zachia Seinu, when we have rubia. It's string beans of some kind. But anyway, that's that opinion. So whatever it is. Shanafla, now the wood with the seeds fall into a well of water. It gave taste into the water. To be true of Masa Sheni, so if this fenugreek of Truma or Masa Sheni falls into water, we work out if the seeds themselves have enough to give taste in the water, then the water is forbidden. We don't look at the wooden side, because the wood doesn't join up lesser. It hasn't got Kedushas Truma, it hasn't got Kedushas Masa Sheni, because it can't be eaten. So if you've got water and you've got 60 times as much than the seeds, so the seeds is batel, that taste of the seeds is batel, even though you've still got a bit of the taste because of the wood, then the water does not become forbidden. The shvius, but with the fenugreek of shvius, which is gone past zman bir and it's forbidden to be eaten, and klaya kerem and hegdush, then if one of them falls into a well of water, we work out yesh bazera over 8 tam. Now we have to use the wood as well as the Yisur, because these are the wood itself is included in the Yisur. Now, if you had, let's say, a bunch of this fenugreek of klaya karem, yidlaku, you have to burn it, including the wood. The wood is also because of kalayim, and klaya karem has to be burnt. It says tikdash, tukah ba'esh. Hayulai chavile tilton shel tevel. If you have this bunch of fenugreek of tevel, kaitesh, you can grind it to separate the seeds from the stalks. You see how much seeds are there. And you can separate on behalf of the zera. Remember, it's tevel, so you need to separate trumas maestros for the seeds. You don't have to start separating the wood for truma. Now, the taste of the wood has the taste similar to the seeds, but it's not fitting for eating. Therefore, it does not have an obligation of Trumas Maestros. Im Hefrish, if first you separated Truma from this thing when it stills the seeds together with the wood, before you ground and separated the seeds, Lo Yoma, don't say, well, Echtash, I'll separate the seeds, and I'll take the wood for myself, and I'll give the seeds to the Kohen, and a nice So if you separate it while they're connected, then you have to give everything to the Kohen, yeah? You have to give the seeds, the truma aspect on the seeds, and the truma for the wood as well. If you separate it if you separate the truma while the seeds are still connected to the wood. Now we've learnt, when this tilton of shvius or klaya kerem or hegdush falls into water, then the wood also joins up to forbid the water. But surely this wood gives a sort of bad taste in the water that's fallen in. It completely ruins the taste. And if that's the case, why is the water asul? Masnisin commando. Our Mishnah is like the one who says Noisin Tam Nifgam asul. Noisin Tam, when it gives a bad taste, this is the view of Rameh, where even bad taste is also forbidden. But even you're going to tell me Noisin Tam Nifgam muta, that like Rabbi Yossi, that it doesn't forbid when it gives a bad taste. He agrees in this case it's forbidden. Lama whenever any of the wood of fenugreek falls in, it improves it. It's not like other wood which would give a bad taste. We said we got this bundle of fenugreek. How big is that? 25 stalks which are tied together. And they're considered like a bundle if it's so thick that can use 4 of them. From 4 of them you can make a bed. Okay, so they're so big that if they were full of straw, they could hold straw. You could prepare from these 4 chavilas a bed to lie down on. Okay, okay. I mean, according to our Mishnah, there's no difference between single stalks and tied up stalks. But this is as far as the Mishnah in Arla. There's a chiluk between separate stalks and tied up stalks. Okay. Now, Milsa Amra, Mishnah tells us, while they're still in these bundles stage, they are still tevel there. When they're still in these bundles, this is even before we've ground them to separate the seeds, this is their gemar malacha, right? They are still tevel. If that's the case, even stalks of wheat should be tevel before you thresh them. And made a whole pile of it. Why yet the Mishnah in Maisra says no. With wheat, it's only after you make the whole smoothing out of the pile. He says, you don't usually bring the wheat stalks to the house in these bundles because you need it for flour, so you thresh it and you make a mound to prepare it before you bring it in the house. So there's no gemar malacha until you make it into your pile, then it's ready to bring into the house. But the fenugreek, you bring it into the house in this stage, this bundle stage, because that's what you do.
So it's already tevel at that point.
So that's why it's tevel. Therefore, it's gemar malacha, and that's why it's tevel. But there are cases where you want to bring wheat, like roasted wheat kernels. You bring them into the house in these bundles, and then you break them a bit to separate them, make them roasted. So we should say in these cases, it should be tevel while it's still in these bundles. He says, you don't grow it for that purpose to make these roasted things. You grow it for wheat. Sometimes you'll bring a bit into the house for malilos. Since the normal usage is for wheat, it's not gemar malacha till after threshing. But with regard to the fenugreek, it's grown for this purpose, it's gathered for this purpose. You use the seeds when they're whole, and you grow them for this, and therefore the gemar malacha is while it's still in the state of chabila. Halacha dalet. Zeisei chulin shekavshan and zeisei truma. So chulin olives, which were pickled together with truma olives in salt water. Petzui chulin in petzui truma. So let's say you had broken olives of chulin with broken truma ones, right? So they've been ground, they've been pressed. I b'mei truma, or you let's say pickled chulin olives in water where olives of truma had been pickled. Also, Israel's not allowed to eat them, right? Well, the chulin ones. Why? Because they would have absorbed taste from the grounding, from the pounding. About shleimei chulin in pitzui truma. So, if you've got whole chulin olives pickled with broken, pounded truma olives, whole chulin with broken truma, and definitely if you've got whole ones of truma, muta Israel is allowed to eat the chulin ones. So basically, the whole olives will not absorb any taste. So let's just see this again. So one second. So if it's broken chulin with broken truma, and they're pickled together, or broken chulin with whole truma, or with truma water that has had truma soaked in it, then also Israel can't eat it. If it's whole chulin pickled with broken truma, then Israel can eat it, the chulin, because the whole ones will not absorb. Now we said broken ones of chulin pickled with olives of truma are forbidden. Now whole ones of chulin pickled with truma ones are not forbidden. They don't absorb. Now the truth is, even whole olives do absorb a bit from pickling. So why is it that broken olives are also, but complete olives are not forbidden? Why is that? Harav YCD the broken ones, boilin or poltin boilin. They absorb, they give out, and they absorb again. First, they'll take the chulin water where they're pickled together. Then they'll start giving out their taste, and the truma olives will also give out their taste. And then the ones with the broken chulin will start absorbing the truma taste from the truma olives, and therefore they're forbidden. Whereas shleimin, whole olives, boilin or poltin, they absorb and then they give out. But they will not absorb again. So they maybe absorb the water from the chulin at the beginning, then they will start giving out their taste, and the olives of truma, which are also giving out their taste, but then at that time, these chulin ones will not absorb anymore. They won't absorb the truma taste when the truma olives are giving out their taste, and therefore they're not forbidden. This tells me that we're forbidding the chulin olives that absorb truma olives. It tells me when you absorb the isur, lo l'shevach v'lo l'pagam asur. Even if it's not really absorbing a good taste or a bad taste, it's still forbidden. So it didn't improve in any way. The Mishnah says the olives of chulin, they absorb the taste of the olives of truma, even though the olives that give a taste, and they're not adding any extra taste, they're not improving it, they're not making it worse. But if it gives tam, it's forbidden. Masnisat of Shimon. The Mishnah is like the view of Rav Shimon, and the one is going to say now that a taste which doesn't improve or make better or make worse is like a tam lifgam. And we said the Mishnah that forbids the taste, even though it's not improving taste, is Rav Shimon. That the shitta of Shimon, that we think it gives a bad taste, it's forbidden. He says, you think Rav Shimon you think Rav Shimon holds if he gives a bad taste, it's forbidden? Rav Shimon, he holds if he gives a bad taste, it's permitted. So what we mean is, not that he holds if he gives a bad taste, it's also. Rav Shimon holds if it gives a bad taste, it's permitted. But when it gives a taste which is not good or not bad, then it's also. Kahada, we find that Rav Shimon, it's like what? Cabbage or something of chulin, which grows in a field which is irrigated, man-made irrigated. Sheshlaka kruv shel baal, you cooked it with a cabbage of truma which grew in a field irrigated through rain, is drunk through rain and not man-made irrigation. Also it's forbidden. Neshu balea. The shakir one will absorb from the other field, the other cabbage, right? The taste of truma that's coming out is drier, right? When it's in a field that you had to irrigate, that cabbage is going to be drier. Now, in this situation, the reason of the kruv of truma is like the kruv of chulin. Like the taste will go in. It doesn't really improve it. It doesn't make it worse, doesn't make it better. And yet Rav Shimon forbids you to have the chulin. Once you see that if it gives taste which is not l'shrach and not l'fgam, it is forbidden. Halacha hey. Dag tameh shekov shem dag tar. So you pickled non-kosher fish with a kosher fish in a barrel. And through that you have this brine coming out of the non-kosher fish and the kosher fish. Again, it's mixed up. Kol garav shul masik sasayim. So any barrel which holds 2 sar, if it's got a weight of 10 zuz in Yehuda, shehein chamesh slime begalil, with 5 slime begalil of dag tameh, if there's that amount of non-kosher fish in this barrel, right? So the weight of the non-kosher fish is 1 in 960 of the whole barrel. Because the 2 sar, you have around 9,600 zuz. And sirai also, then the brine that comes out, the whole barrel is forbidden, because that brine is like the fish juice is very sharp, and it forbids even 960 times as much. Rabbi Yehuda said, only if the tameh fish is revius b'sasayim. The amount of the tzir of the tameh is 1 over 192 of the barrel. Then it forbids. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, tzir only forbids till 192 against it, not 960. Rabbi Yasai, but he said, it doesn't forbid until you have echad meshisha asabai. It doesn't forbid until you have 16 times as much in the barrel. According to Rabbi Yasser, the tzir doesn't forbid, it only forbids 16 times as much. So, not 900, 16 times it will forbid, but not 900 times and not 192 times. Now, non-kosher locust, they were pickled together with kosher locust, lo pasod siran. Even though they're forbidden, we were not machmir on their mixture. We're not machmir about the juice that comes out. Hey, Rav Tzadok al-Si gave evidence on tzir chagavim tameim shu tahar, that it's okay, it's kosher, the tzir of the non-kosher locust. Now, first of all, we'll talk about this tzir, this fish juice, which is created by pickling non-kosher fish and kosher fish together. Now, what about a kosher fish that's pickled with a tamei fish? So imagine you have a kosher fish which is unsalted, and you pickled it with a salted treifa fish. Also, that's forbidden. Basically, the tahor kosher fish will absorb from all this juice coming out of the non-kosher fish. Okay, it's going to absorb all that's coming out of the non-kosher fish. So now, kosher fish, which was pickled with tamei fish, madicha, just wash it off, and mutter is permitted. Rabbana said, the one who said that is mutter, when is the kosher fish permitted? That's shekoshen shtein ka'achas. You pickled both fish together. So then they don't absorb from each other. The fish only absorbs the first time it goes into the pickling process, and then it starts giving out and doesn't absorb. So when you put them together in one go, they both absorb at the beginning from the pickling water, which is permitted, and then they give it out, and they can't absorb anymore. Manda also, the one who says that the kosher fish is forbidden, you pickled one after the other. So first, you pickled the treifa fish. Then you put the kosher fish in the barrel. So now, the tzir of the treifa fish has already come into the barrel before you put the kosher fish inside. And as soon as the kosher fish goes into the barrel, it starts absorbing all this juice from the treifa fish. I'll prove it to you, Tanina, and we've learned in the previous Mishnah, let's say you pickled the olives, but made truma, in truma water. That's water that you had pickled truma in there. Also, then you can't eat these olives. But if you put it in one go, chulin, complete olives, with they say truma olives is permitted. What's the difference between pickling chulin olives with waters of truma or pickling with the olives of truma? He says the difference is when they're pickled in waters of truma, you pickled one after the other. So first you pickled in water the truma olives. Then you pickled in the water the chulin olives. Therefore the chulin olives are forbidden. But if you grind up the chulin olives and the truma olives, and it's talking about you pickle them in one go, they're not forbidden. So the same thing here with the kosher fish and the non-kosher fish, it's the same thing. If you pickle the two in one go, then the kosher fish remains permitted. But if you pickle them one after the other, the tahor one after the tamei one, then the tahor one becomes forbidden. Now any sort of barrel, if you've got a weight of 10 zuz in Yehuda of non-kosher fish, the tzir is asur. 10 zuz of tzir can forbid until 2 sa. Kama sa after, how much is there in a sa? Esrim Rabbalak in 24 lug. The kama lug of it, how much is in a lug? 30 litrin, 2 litrin. So it comes out 48 litrin is in a sa. The kama litra after, how much is in a litra? Me'az dinin. That's 100 zuz. Therefore, of 400,800 zuz, you'll get in a sa. So 2 sa is 9,600 zuz, which is 960 times 10. Nim so calls in was in. So every zuz of tzir of tamei fish, tamei in the barrel, is achas mincham me'as v'shishim, is 1 against 960, which is in the barrel. So according to the Tanna Kama, the tzir of dogim tameim can forbid until an amount of 960. However, he paskened, Achbara might be a place. Some say it's a place. Some say it's a mouse. He paskened about a mouse that fell into a tafshil that gave taste. Or some say it was a place. That the fish juice is tamei and is botin and tree of chal elef. You need 1,000 against it. Rabbi Yehuda said that tzir is botel when you've got a reverse of tamei fish in 2 sa. He said when Rabbi Yehuda said a reverse in sasayim, he means roibat tzir, a quarter of tzir b'sasayim tzir in 2 sa of tzir. Be'ein dag tahar matzil. The kosher fish itself does not join up for the shil of bittul of the non-kosher brine, right? So in order to allow the tzir tahar from stopping it from being forbidden, so we can't use the kosher fish in the equation. I looked at the reckoning of Rabbi Yehuda and I found that the tzir of dogim tameim forbids Karev l'masayim, close to 192 times as much. It's close to 200, which is 192. Reverse forbids to Sasayim, and there's 192 reverse in Tusa. He said, when he said a reverse Sasayim, he means Rova Tzeh, but Sasayim dog in the Tzeh. The quarters Rova Tzeh with Tusa of fish in the Tzeh. So he allows the fish as well in the calculation. Also, the story came from Roshia, Hurricane, and he paskin, the fish join up with the Tzeh to be Mavatel, the non-kosher Tzeh. When do we say that Tzeh forbids a shiv reverse in Tusa? Now look at this. When you take out fish from the barrel, one by one, you put them in front of you and you see them, and you find this amount, then you have to forbid it. There's no reason to say, oh, maybe someone's got lost. They're in front of you. You can see how much there is. If you're bringing out fish from the barrel, rishon, one by one, and then you chuck it behind you, you don't see it. I can't see you, right? You don't see it. You chuck it behind you. Because even more than a reverse in Tusa, mutter, the tear is permitted. Because maybe there was more, but they got lost after you took them out of the barrel. This seems to be some sort of talia, right? You're taking them out. Oh, I don't know where they are now. I don't know how much there are now because you don't see them. He says, if you're going to tell me only the tahar tzir is mevatel the tame one, even if you had other kosher fish, there's not reason to be lenient because we can't be mevatel only based on the tahar tzir. You can't use the fish. It must be the fish joined up to be mevatel the tame tzir. And the Gemara brings the din al day ila. This is some sort of what do they translate ila? Some ruse. What do they translate it as? A ruse? A pretext. They allowed you to have the tzir when you're putting the fish behind you. Really, there's no reason to say that there were other kosher fish that got lost. But they were lenient here through some pretext because the tzir of dagim tameim is only rabbinically forbidden. It's not biblically forbidden. Now, we bring two other cases where the Chacham were lenient with a pretext. Gevunta ikalkalas. So the river Gevunta was made for idolatry. They asked, now is the water's rivers forbidden? Oh, it says, Rabim, if it's a public thing, so a river can't be forbidden. But a De'ilah, that was again through this case. It's not really enough reason to allow it, because really the river belongs to everyone, and also to those who served it, and they should be able to. But the main reason of the heta, something connected to the ground can't be forbidden. Right? So you could say maybe they took some water with their hands from the river and worship that. But the river is a massive thing of the masses, so we're not worried about that. Now the gittin, the divorces of women, like Gaius, Lucas, Ksibahen, now sometimes it's signed on them witnesses who have non-Jewish names, like Gaius and Lucas. And even so, we say they're kosher. Why aren't we worried maybe the Eidim apostle? But we say with Machshal De'ilah, we say that these are Israelim that have these Gentile names. Here Rav Tzadok he gave evidence that it's tahor, this tzir of tameh of non-kosher locusts, and you can eat it. Now, if he wanted to tell you you can eat it, he should have said mutter. But he says tahor. It sounds like he's telling you a din that there's no dinei tumah. So what does it mean? Mal tahor. What do you mean it's tahor? It does not make anything else susceptible to receive tumah. As far as tumah is it, becoming tameh, even the smallest bit can receive tumah. Anything pickled together is permitted. Now we're going to see soon the correct wording here is anything that's not pickled but cooked together is permitted. Vegetables of chulin and truma that were cooked. We'll see. A little bit of cooking doesn't cause transfer of taste. Except if it's vegetables cooked in chisis, which is some sort of onion or leek of truma, which are very sharp. Because they're sharp, they give taste even with a tiny bit of cooking. So if you cooked chisis shal chulin, let's say the leek of chulin with chisis shal truma, or yerek, or a vegetable cooked of chulin in chisis shal truma with a leek of truma, also the chulin is forbidden, because the chisis of truma gives a taste in the chulin. But a leek of chulin cooked with a normal vegetable of truma is permitted, because the normal vegetable doesn't give taste with a tiny bit of cooking. Rabbi Yosef, he said, anything that's cooked, small cooking with beets, Asurin is forbidden. They give taste for a bit of cooking. Rav Shimon, he says, also the cabbage that grows in the dry field that you have to irrigate it, which you cooked in kruv shel baal, with another type of cabbage, also is forbidden because it absorbs. Rabbi Akiva, he said, any instant of heta cooked together are permitted. Min b'minai doesn't add any taste. And basa, except if it's cooked meat with tray for meat, then it's forbidden even though they're the same min. He says, kaveh, you have a liver, let's say from a trefa that was cooked with a heta food, Iseris, it cooks everything, it forbids everything, but the actual liver of heta, doesn't become forbidden. It was cooked with double. Because it gives out and doesn't absorb. Right? It's full of blood, it gives out, gives out. When it's cooked, it gives out its blood, it doesn't absorb from elsewhere. An egg that was spiced in its cooking with forbidden spices like truma or ola, even the yellow part is forbidden, because it absorbs from the taste. You've got water that vegetables have been cooked in of truma, asur nazarim, Israelim not allowed to have that. The water would have taken taste of the vegetables which are truma. Now, vegetables of chulin which were pickled together with vegetables of truma are mutter to Israelim. Let's take away the word pickled together, and a nishlak, sure they will cook together. But a little bit of cooking doesn't cause transfer of taste, unless it's leek or something. But vegetables pickled together do absorb one from the other. Because kavish koresech, when it's pickled, it's like it's boiling together. So vegetables of chulin, which are pickled with vegetables of truma, is also to zarim as if they were cooked together. Rabbi Chanina, tirta'a, b'shem Rav Hoshea, chasis, you've got your leek of chulin, which was cooked with chasis min b'mina, your leek of truma, the same kind, onion with onion. Machleis Rabbi Akiva chachamim. Rabbi Akiva mate, he allows the chulin one to Israelim, because the truma one didn't add any taste, they're both the same thing. Forbidden. Now, what about basar, meat, which was cooked with permitted meat from the same min? Is there an argument? Rabbi Yasser, they agree, but basar, kosher meat, cooked with trefa meat, and the two pieces of one min, shul mutter, is permitted because there was no argument only with the leeks which were cooked, that is because they're very sharp. Rav Zira said to Rabbi Yasser, no, the other do Cain. Had you not told us this did, we wouldn't have known this for ourselves. It should be more logical to say the opposite. Meat cooked with meat will be forbidden even according to Rabbi Akiva. Maybe it was only said, Ella, he agrees to them. Meat that was cooked with basar shul also with forbidden meat. The Rabbi Akiva agrees that it gives taste even if it's the same type of meat. Also, Rabbi Yochanan brought a raya, Rabbi Akiva l'chachamim, yeah, he agrees to chachamim, basar shu also. That it's forbidden, right? Rabbi Yochanan surely said his words like he holds, like Rav Zira said. Rav Chidna Shovel Min Basra. He worked it out that the meats cooked together is forbidden, and he said from the Hemshach of the Mishnah, Rabbi Akiva Mekonis Vashin Zevzem B'Tarin, all that's cooked together is permitted except for meat. Chutz min Basa. And Rav Chidna learned the Shemshai is like this: anything permitted cooked with isul min b'minai, the heta doesn't become forbidden. Apart from meat cooked together, it asers. And then so you see it's in our Fush and our Mishnah that basa, cooked meat that was cooked with basa of isur min b'minai, also is forbidden, even according to Rabbi Akiva. Okay, so it's all very well. We have to change the word in Rabbi Yasa. Rabbi Yochanan said everyone agrees meat and meat is also. Could be Rabbi Yochanan first said like Rabbi Yasa said. We have to change something. Maybe the truth is that Rabbi Yochanan, the Chachamim agreed to Rabbi Akiva the way Rabbi Yasa said it. Not Rabbi Akiva agrees to the Chachamim, but maybe Chachamim agreed to Rabbi Akiva. Ella, instead of finishing the Chachamim agreed to him to allow it, you have to finish like this. Ma'adim Chachamim and Rabbi Akiva, they agree. Basa, meat cooked with meat, shehu also, it is forbidden. They agree, basa, shehu also. So you cook the meat together, it is forbidden. Rav Shimon said the cabbage grown in a drier field, which you cook with the other cabbage, then it's also absorbs from it. We wanted to say he says it absorbs Shalbal Balea. One of the other fields absorbs from the irrigated field. Right? And according to that, we're talking about a cabbage of Baal was Chulin, and the one of the irrigated field was Truma. And Rav Shimon says that the cabbage of Baal absorbs from the other one, it's forbidden. Bin Mad Amar Rav Huda, that which Rav Huda said that the cabbage of the state Baal, which gets enough rainfall, Sav bin Iba v'havli Flufa, take the cabbage from where it's connected and you'll see it's full of moisture. Hadar Amar, this tells me that when he says it absorbs, he means the Shel Sheki, the one in the irrigated field absorbs. Right? It's so dry, that's why it absorbs from elsewhere. He said he spoke about the liver. Remember the liver? It forbids out, it gives out, but it doesn't take in. Now, if you cooked the liver in milk, some learn it's chaylev, others learn it's chalav. What's the din? I'm going to say it's not also because of basar chalav, because it doesn't absorb from the milk. But Meir Yechman agrees it's also because the milk will stick to it and get absorbed in it, even with a liver. Very good question. We have no answer. The Girsa here, as I said, some say chalav, but the truth is other liquids as well, the same din. All right. Rav Zeira lo yachol covered miyamav. He never ate cooked liver. Of course, what do we do, Rabbi Isai? We only roast liver. Yeah, we don't salt liver, then cook it. We only roast liver. Rav Zeira lo yachol covered miyamav. He was always worried maybe it doesn't absorb. We're worried maybe the blood coming out when it cooks will go and get back absorbed inside. Shakei Rabba Ba'Echele. Rabba cooked it. He knew that after he gave it to Rav Zeira to eat. Rav Zeira didn't rely on him. Well, he relied on him. Yeah, he did rely on him and he ate. Rabba salted it and then cooked it and gave it to Rav Zeira. I thought the salting will help to take the blood from the liver. Chel moim, the yellow of an egg, which has got various forbidden spices, also is forbidden. It absorbs taste. Chel moim also, the yellow is forbidden. Definitely the white, right? And definitely the forbidden taste will go into the egg. They'll forbid the yellow. They will also forbid the white. Here's what Rabbi Shem you cook the eggs and you find a chick in it. It's nevela. All the other eggs are also. That is where it's the chick is in the egg, but no in time where it gives taste in the other eggs. Rav Zira Shem Rabbi Shem Rabbi Yechanan Rav Zira Rav Adam Bar Gershon Rav Kirai Rav Levi Bar Pata heard from Zakanacha the same Rabbi Shishim B'Yachas Asur 61 eggs against it is forbidden, but if you have 62 Shishim B'Shnayim Mutar is permitted. Mishum Banachrim Shem Rabbi Yonis and Hedi Adach Redi Lavinen he gave evidence b'Shishim. It's bottled in 60 others like other Isurim. Anyone going to bring me a case where there's a chick that got cooked with other eggs? If you got Yosim and Shishim, if you got more than 60, Mashir or not, I will permit it. They said to Shim Baba, do you say this, that you need 62 against it? And they say 61 is enough to be Vatel. He says, I say what I heard, and they say what they heard. You with me, yeah? Shim Baba, Master Bala from Gamliel, but Rebbe's story came before from Gamliel with an egg which had a chick cooked with other eggs. He says, did my father not allow you to allow this in a case where the egg is forbidden? You've got 47 eggs, that's enough. Although earlier on we said you need 61, that's only with the eggs which were shelled, which were cooked on their own. But eggs which were cooked in their shells, 47 is enough. Because the shell also joins to be mitzaref laheta. And together with that, you'll get your 61. But no, my I paskin. If the base says bottom 45, because the eggs were bigger, so therefore 45 eggs with a shell gives you 61 for the forbidden egg. Rabbi Chanina, Master Molifnei Rabbi, story came before Rabbi with an egg which had a chick which was cooked with the other eggs. He says this time on Chamshin, do you have 15? That's good enough. He says, the shells of the eggs which are mayim and the water in the pot also is time and also joined up to be mevatel the taste. Rav Zira said, and also Isu, when you look at the egg which is also, we look at mitaychan, only the isur aspects of it which are fitting to be eaten. But the shell of the forbidden egg does not join up to asur, right? It doesn't give any taste. Our Rav Huda said not just that the shell of the forbidden egg doesn't join in the isur, but klipe isur, the shell of the forbidden egg, malin esaheta, they join up to mevatel the isur, right? Because the taste of the chick spreads also in the shell of its own shell. Tanya, we learn based in Tahiros, eggs of a kosher bird. You cook them with eggs of a non-kosher bird. Mutaris, they're permitted, they do not absorb. That's all being well that the Thai ones which were cooked with the tummy ones are permitted. When you cook the tummy ones together in their shell. So then the eggs don't absorb because it's the shells of the eggs stop anything coming out of the egg. And the shells of the eggs which are tar, they're not going to absorb, and each one causes they won't go taste between the other one and the other. And if you cooked eggs, shlukais b'shlukais, cooked eggs with other cooked eggs, they were cooked before on their own, and then you cook them together. So here as well, the tame eggs have already given out all their taste in the first cooking, and the tar ones have already absorbed a lot in the first cooking. Now you cook them together, they're not going to absorb from each other. If you cooked shelled eggs, tahar ones, in tummy ones, she'en klubas, which are not shelled, or she'en klubas, eggs which are tahar, which are not shelled, where klubas with eggs which are tummy, which are shelled, or you cooked shelled eggs which are tahar shlukais, which have been cooked before, but she'en shlukais, with tummy treifa eggs which had not been cooked before, then the tummy ones give taste now. The Torah ones have not got any taste to give out. In this situation, you'll need another amount of kosher eggs to be greater, so you'll have a share to be mevatel the taste of the tummy eggs. Gi'ulei beitzim. This is eggs which got out early, that got laid early. Yeah, they're not complete. Mutarid, there's no issa ibn achai on them. Now, where's the source of this word ge'ule? Shora ibe v'lo yagil. It means the cow of the Russia became pregnant and didn't lose its fetus. So yagil is a question of losing a fetus. So lashon gil is eggs which have come out before their time. Beisim shehir kimu. They started forming as a chick. Harei source, they are forbidden rabbinically. Muzarais. Now, basically, the chick sat on them for a long time. And never sheyafet hoichal. If you're not sick of them, you can eat it. You don't have to worry, maybe they started forming. Mazda bahen dam, if you find blood, kodef bakum dam, you have to cut away that blood area. Rav Zeira salak bevakra. He went to visit Rav Chia Breder Rabbi Yitzchak at Tushia when he was ill. Ashkechei Yosef Abba, he found him sitting, he's saying, Laishon, and when do we say you have to scrape away the blood? Ella, that is the chelmoin, the blood on the white, because that is where the thing starts forming, and it's considered dam basa, which is forbidden. Aval chalboin on the sorry, that was on the yellow. Chalboin was on the yellow, but aval chalboin is on the white. Muta, you don't have to peel it away. That's considered dam beitzim, which we learn it is permitted. Usava hiyal duhu gabe min havhase. Rav Zira thought. Chia heard this from a tradition from his fathers. Azar b'vo b'shem Rav Yochanan. He said Rav Chia never got this tradition. He had his own svara. You can't rely on it. But bein chalboin. Also, wherever the blood is, on the white and the yellow, it's forbidden. The blood which is on the white is also where it begins to form, and it's also because of dam basa. It's Mechaber Ramon, I think. I think Mechaber holds the main thing is the yellow. And the Ramon is machmir for both, I think. Tari Rav Chalafta ben Shaul. Bryson says if it's blood found on the chalboin, on the yellow, also it's forbidden. On chalboin, if it's on the white, it's permitted. Rav Zira said, Hanta Amar. I think the Metzia says it's on the white, not on the yellow. But anyway, Hanta Amar, that when you tell me blood found by Chalmoin, on the yellow is also, that's because Shanim Samokim Zachrusa Shal Chalmoin. Now this is where it's all complicated. It's only where the blood is found on the knot of the white. Sorry, the knot of the yellow. The Zachrusa, we don't really know what this is, you see. He says that the seeds of the chicken is connected to one of the ends of the egg. There's the sharp side and the not sharp side, and that's where the frach begins to form. Kesha chalboin is thicker than the rest of the white, Zachrusa shel chalboin. That's the main part of the white. It's like a thread. And the other end is connected to the yellow. There's a kesher there as well. So Hada Amar b'chalboin also kishanim z'makom Zachrusa shel wherever that is. But Afilu, the same thing, even if the blood is found on chalboin, if you have a giras of chalboin here, on the white it's also. But if it's on that connected thread, should be menu and frayach lezer where the chick is created from there. So it doesn't depend on whether the blood is on the chalboin or the chalmoin. Wherever it happens, if it's on the kesher, wherever that is, where some sort of string is produced, it's forbidden, because that's where the thing is formed, and that's dambasa, and that's like the view of Rabbi Yochanan. That which Rabbi Yochanan said chalboin, and chalboin is also, it means when it's on an area of the kesher. Mei kavashim, pickled waters where truma has been pickled in it, Yisrael can't have the water. Taman tanina, we've learned Eda Paislin, the following pasad and mikvah, when you have 3 lug falling in, V'loi malin, they don't make up the shur of the mikvah. So mayim, of course, which is shuvin, but water that's been drawn. Bein tahir and bein tamein, whether it's tahir or tameh. Bein kvashim, meishlakos, pickled waters, cooked waters, temed, or water that grapes and so on have been soaked in. Achalai hechmetz, before it started fermenting, it's also got din like water. So here in our Mishnah, water that's pickled or cooked vegetables of truma, we treat it as vegetables of truma. Therefore, Yisrael can't eat it. With the mikvah, we treat the pickled waters as water. We say they puzzle the mikvah, like Maim Shovim. Rabbanah said, Kan b'koshin. Here we're talking about it's very thicker. It's got darker because of the fruit. It's considered like food. It's forbidden. Whereas Kan in the mikvah is barakid. It's more clear. It hasn't got darker because of fruit. So Kan in our Mishnah is ba'achal. It's considered like a food. And Kan in the mikvah is b'mashke. It's considered like a drink. Rosy wood. You can say we're both talking about a case where it's thickish, and Kama Rakit are both cases where it's liquidy, but there's no stira. Noisin ta'amim b'truma, but ain't noisin ta'amim b'mikvah. With truma, we forbid because of taste, but not as far as mikvah is. So the truth is, the pickled waters are not considered like May Paris. The reason why they're forbidden of truma, there's a taste of truma. But as far as mikvah, the taste has no effect in the halacha of the kashrus of the mikvah. Adon lach basel shenasnu.